Good afternoon, everybody. This is our presentation time. There's no official call to order or anything needed at this time. This is a time when we get to recognize individuals for their service and other things like that. So I'm going to come down and start the presentation tonight there. I believe Eric's going to join me. So for the month of May of 2022, we're going to memorialize this month as the Building Safety Month. So I'd like some of our building officials to come up and stand behind me. Don't be shy, Richard's not. Anyone would like to join? I think, the boss said all of you. Come on.
Everybody.
Last two stragglers here. Come on, Patricia, you can do this. Come on.
Is anybody out in that door?
The reason we're doing this is there's a proclamation that we're going to give to our building department, and so the proclamation is going to states this, whereas the City of Desert Hot Springs is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on the safety and the essential role our homes, buildings, and infrastructure play, both in everyday life and when disaster strikes, and whereas our confidence in the resilience of these building that make up our community is achieved through the devotion and vigilance and guidance. Tongue-tied is crazy tonight. And whereas, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, trades people, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a nonprofit that brings together local, state, territorial, tribal, and federal officials who are experts in the build environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, and play. And whereas these modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the crucial role of our community, largely unknown protectors of public safety, our local code officials who assure us of safe, sustainable, and affordable buildings that are essential to our prosperity. And to whereas safety for all, building codes in action, the theme for the month the Building Safety Month 2022 ensures us all to raise awareness about planning for safe and sustainable construction, career opportunities in building safety, understanding disaster mitigation, energy conservation, and creating a safe and abundant water supply to all of our benefit. And whereas each year in observation of Building Safety Month, people from all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by the local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that on behalf of the City of Desert Hot Springs, we do hereby proclaim the month of May 2022 as Building Safety Month. Accordingly, I encourage our citizens to join us as we participate in Building Safety Month activities this May. And whereas, in witness and whereas by my official hand and the seal of the City of Desert Hot Springs, I, Scott Mattis, Mayor, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby recognize Building Safety Month for its commitment to the community of the City of Desert Hot Springs on the 3rd day of May 2022. Now repeat all that after me. No? I'm going to give it over to Eric. I really do appreciate what you guys do for our community. A lot of people don't realize that our building department is a arm of our community that is so important. Without that, there wouldn't be the safety that's out there to make sure that our buildings are safe, what you live in is safe, and what we do moving forward is done in the proper manner. So thank you for everything you guys do for our department, and Eric has a little bit of a presentation also.
Thank you.
And I'll let you guys pass that over.
Hello, everybody. I have a small part. First, my name is Eric Besser. I'm the Community Development Director, and behind me I have the best team I could ever ask for that helps all the citizens and all the visitors here get their projects accomplished, done in a very safe manner. So I have a really small presentation to show you guys what we're doing for this month and just some kind of things that have been in the works for the community. So what is Building Safety Month? We kind of went over it. It's a month to really look at some of the people that are integral part of the building community, not only the inspectors, but also the people out there, the contractors, the ones that are out in the field making the community a safer place. So in here, it kind of goes over a little bit of what impact last year had for Building Safety Month. So there was 232 proclamations. There's a little bit more facts about all the impacts that it had on social media and awareness of building safety. So here is just a little bit of agenda of what we have going on. May 3rd, which is today, we have the City Council Proclamation. May 10th, we're doing another presentation going over Building Safety Month. May 18th, we have an ADU community workshop, and I'll go over what that is. May 19th is Public Works Week and Building Safety Month Employee Expo. We're doing an expo for the employees to show them and showcase what we actually do in development and public works. So this is a really neat project. We've been working and we're very lucky to be awarded a grant to help establish some really unique projects in the community, one of them being a pre-designed ADU. An ADU is a new accessory dwelling unit that's been approved by state legislature to allow for a little bit faster mobility in getting access to housing. So these are pre-designed, pre-done, pre-engineered plans that the community will have access to. They will not have to pay for them, just the permits and any additional permits such as grading permits that they may need. So out here I actually have footage of us out. Dan went out today and he put flyers out to let the community know. This is a gentleman right here. This is actually done today. You can see he's wearing the same shirt. So, so we are out there. We're on the boots. We're really trying to make an impact to the community. These are so this is one example of the designs of homes that are going to be accessible to the community at no cost for the plans themselves. So it's not just we really went above and beyond to give the community something that was very beautiful, a very beautiful architecture. So we have various different types that we're going to be getting input from the community so that we can really give them some amazing product that they're actually going to use. So we're very excited about that. Building Safety Month and Public Works Week, we've combined together to come up with something. It's really a pilot for next year. Next year it'll be open to all the community. This year we're just really hashing out all the exact details, but it's going to be an interactive expo where we're showcasing our internal staff about the internal works of Public Works. What do they do? What kind of impact they have on the community as well as building safety. So a fun fact. One of the first building codes that was noted was one of the Code of Hammurabi, and which dates back to around the late 1700s. It was kind of the start of something more of what we have now. So here on the top, you see that the actual code is written in stone. And it states that if a builder built a house for someone and it does not construct it properly, and the house which he built falls and kills the owner, that builder shall be put to death. So things have evolved since then. We've decided that was a little rough. So we've now developed some other codes that are a little bit more applicable to what we have today. And here we have one really cool thing is for the kids in the community and for the families that come for the ADU workshop, we have this really neat, we have a little hard hat they're going to get, and they're also going to get a small vest as well as a coloring book that talks about building safety and about how they can make their home a safer place. So with that, I'll let the last couple words to our new building official, Richard. I wanted him to come up. This is a big deal for us, so I wanted him to say a couple words.
Thank you. And once again, guys, thank you very much for coming out. This is very exciting. This is actually the 42nd annual Building Safety Month. We've been trying to promote safety over the years, and it's great that it's an internationally recognized council that's putting it on, the ICC. And this week's topic, every week they have a different topic. This week's topic happens to be energy conservation. I drive a Tesla, so I'm doing my part. We also have a disaster preparedness, water safety, and also just overall building safety. So those are the 4 themes for this month. So yeah, please come out on May 18th to celebrate and learn more about what we do and why we do things. Again, if you have kids, we have some goodies for them. And yeah, thank you very much for coming out, guys.
Should we take a picture?
I know.
Back up this way towards the city council, and they can stand behind you guys. You guys want to stand back there?
Yeah.
Richard, you're in the back.
Yeah, I'm the tallest guy. So you know what? I'll be right here.
Russell knows that. Being the taller guy, you got to stand in the back. You get a little taller back there on the dais. I was on the city council with Joe McKee, Russell, and then Chuck Maynard became the city manager. I always felt very small.
3 of the tallest guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. Now I'm going to skip around in our presentation real quick. We're going to invite the VFW up, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and they're going to give a presentation to an officer, correct? 2 officers. This is awesome. Come on up. The mic's all yours. And I'll let you introduce yourself.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Fred Warzeka. I'm the current commander of Post 1534, Desert Hot Springs. I don't speak a lot, so I'm going to turn this over to our incoming new commander, Jeff Cole, who will take office on the 1st of July. Jeff?
All right, thank you very much. Part of taking over for the VFW in July, I want to start reconnecting with the community again. We have programs that we have to follow, and that's what brings us here today. I reached out to Deputy Chief Shaw, and he gave me 2 officers that are going to be above and beyond. I'm tongue-tied too. It's contagious.
It's contagious.
But, sorry, 2 officers that are going above, and we want to recognize that, because so many times when you hear, or we think of law enforcement, we think of negative responses because of, he pulled me over, I was late to work already, now I'm really late, and on top of it, I got a $500 ticket. I mean, it's those things, but we forget the 911 calls where you guys drive into shots fired or a violent domestic violence scene. And it's those things that we need to remember, and that's why we're here today. So without further ado, I'd like to present 2 certificates on behalf of VFW Post 1534, one to Officer Paulina Toscano, as well as Sergeant Chris Saucer, if I said that correctly. And with that, we also got gift certificates for you guys to enjoy dinner at Sammy G's Test and Grill in Palm Springs. You're very welcome. No problem. Thank you.
Taking a picture of this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And now I'd like to invite up our police chief, Jim Henson. He's going to, we have a new officer, don't we? Just one? Not 2?
One new officer.
Okay. Get the backwards here.
Good afternoon. I'm hoping to do more of these in the future, but for now I want to introduce Officer Gustavo Ramirez. Please welcome new police officer Gustavo Ramirez. Gustavo was born in San Jose, Costa Rica. Officer Ramirez came to the United States as a child and was raised in San Bernardino. After graduating high school and working for a few years, Gustavo enlisted in the United States Marines, where he served for 8 years. After his time in the military, Officer Ramirez attended Crafton Hills Community College, where he graduated with his EMT certification and began working with AMR as an EMT. After his time as an EMT, Gustavo attended the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Academy, where he graduated in 2017. He then began working with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department as a deputy sheriff. After working for the Sheriff's Department, Gustavo went to work for San Manuel Band of Mission Indians as a public safety officer. While at San Manuel, he worked on the reservation on bike patrol, honor guard, terrorism liaison officer, and on the emergency response team. I'm having an issue today, but it's not COVID, so I'm okay. Presenting his badge will be Sarah, his wife, and also present is Elijah, Aliyah, and Keela, his children. Come on up. Okay. You're not wearing a vest, so good luck. Here you go. You could go ahead and pin it on him. He's not wearing a vest, so we got the fire department on standby. All right, now for the fun department. Come on up and say a few words.
Well, the chief pretty much came my life story, so not much else to say. I'm happy to be here. Honestly, in the short time I've been here, I love the department and the people around it, so looking forward to spending the next 15, 20 years here, so thank you.
Come on up. You want to take a quick picture?
"15 years doing this, I finally get it right."
Good evening. Please raise your right hand. Do you, Gustavo Ramirez, solemnly swear or affirm that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic?
I do.
That you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California?
I do.
That you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion? And that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you're about to enter. Congratulations.
Well, with me is my father-in-law, my mother, my grandpa, and one of my uncles. So, half my family's here, so. Thank you.
To the family members, thank you for coming. We're hoping he's going to be here for a long time. Okay, now it's not a new officer. It's one of our famous officers that likes to get on Facebook. So, Officer Johnston, why don't you come on up? And he helped me with this, so this is going to be long. Okay, so we had a new officer. Now we've had a promotion. Officer Johnston has been promoted to sergeant. Todd was born and raised in North Carolina and moved to California in June of 2018. He currently resides in Menifee with his wife. After graduating high school, Todd served in the United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Johnston attended East Carolina University, where he graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice. Todd attended and graduated from the North Carolina Highway Patrol Academy. During Todd's career as a state trooper, he was assigned duties on the Highway Interdiction Team and multiple DUI task forces. Todd has also worked as a police officer with the Knightdale Police Department and was assigned to the Governor's Highway Safety Program Traffic Enforcement Team. Todd also worked for the North Carolina Division of Motor Vehicle License and Theft Bureau as an investigator, where he was assigned to the Driver's License Fraud Section and Auto Theft Section. Sergeant Johnson then spent 6 years working as a police officer with the Department of Defense, where he was assigned to the Traffic Enforcement Accident Investigation Division and later as a patrol supervisor. Sergeant Johnston was hired by the Desert Hot Springs Police Department in February 2019 and was assigned to patrol. In 2020, he was assigned as a field training officer as well as a canine officer. Sergeant Johnston has completed training as a drug recognition expert as well as a traffic collision reconstructionist. As a result, his duties also include being part of the Major Accident Investigation Team. Sergeant Johnston has also received 3 consecutive MAD awards, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, and pinning his badge will be his wife, Brianne. Come on up. Are you wearing a vest? No. Okay. Be careful. I don't want the badge to be damaged.
Hey, I dropped it last time, so that's.
There you go. Okay, now it's your time. You could talk about Blitz's retirement too, huh?
I was actually going to talk about you a little bit.
Uh-oh.
I came here 3 years ago. Actually, before I started with Desert Hot Springs, I came over working for the Marine Corps, and I was born and raised in North Carolina, and never thought I'd end up from California, and here I am. So I look at it as nothing happens by accident, and I'm here for a reason. And I'm excited for the opportunity and the promotion that the chief and deputy chief have given to me, and I look forward to continuing serving the community and its people. So thank you.
Sergeant Johnson. Come on over. Yeah, you should have brought the dog in too.
You did.
Thank you.
Is that all you got tonight,
Yep.
Chief? All righty. With that said, you're more than welcome to stay for our regular meeting if you're really bored. If not, we're going to take a 20-minute recess. We'll come back at 6 p.m. for our regular meeting. All right, good evening, everybody. We will call the regular meeting of the City Council, and the City Council serving as a successor agency to the former Redevelopment Agency Board for Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022. This is our 6 p.m. regular session. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Betts,
Present.
Councilmember Nunez,
Present.
Councilmember Pai,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gardner,
Present.
and Mayor Manis.
Present. Our invocation tonight will be by Pastor Baylark of the First Baptist Church. Sir, you can come forward and turn on the mic there.
Let us all pray. Father, we just thank you for this opportunity to come together in the beautiful city of Desert Hot Spring and all those who make up this great city, and to the mayor and the city council. Lord, we ask that you continue to bless them and order their steps, Lord, and to help them in the decision-making process. And let everything that is done this evening, let it be done decently in order. Bless every person coming and going. We ask for these blessings in Jesus' name. Amen, amen, amen again.
Amen. Thank you. Tonight, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Mayor Pro Tem Gary Gardner. Madam City Attorney, can you give the long report on closed session tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have no reportable action considering we had no closed session.
All right, the approval of the agenda at this time. Does anybody on the city council like to pull anything from the consent calendar? Do we have any public comments on the consent calendar?
No, we do not.
Move adoption of the agenda.
Including the movement of the consent calendar? We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Move to our public comment portion of our agenda at this time pursuant to the Brown Act. Any person may comment on matters of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council not listed on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the City Council shall not take action on or discuss matters raised during public comment portion of the agenda that are not listed on the agenda. All comments are to be directed to the City Council, shall be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain professional courteous decorum during public comments. My first speaker card, and if you haven't filled out a speaker card and would like to speak, there are blue cards off to the side there. You can hand it to the city clerk. These are only on items not on our agenda. Our first speaker is Lauren Anderson. Might have to push the button there, sir. Right in front there. It'll turn red. There you go. Oh, you just turned it off. Got it. There you go.
Good evening. I'm Lauren Anderson. I'm a crossing guard at Corsini Elementary School. The issue that I want to discuss is traffic safety. The speed limit, as posted, is 25 miles an hour when children are present. In other words, the driver has to make that decision as to whether students are present. Most cars go by at 40, 45 miles an hour. I've had several near misses myself with students. I've had to push them back several times. I have to drive on Pearson past the high school to go home, and the same thing pertains there. The speed limit the sign says 25 miles an hour when students are present, and I've gone 25 miles an hour and I get honked, passed on the right, and nasty gestures made my way. It's a big problem, and I don't know what the solution is. I know that I did some research, and in Palm Springs itself, the signage is the same at the schools there. I grew up in LA, and the signs there simply say school zone 25 miles an hour, period. And I don't know if that would make a difference. I would think it might. I think it would be a good idea. I don't know who has the jurisdiction, whether it's county or whether it's up to Desert Hot Springs. I really don't know that yet. The second thing is that because of the speed limit violations, I would suggest blinking signs that say 25 miles an hour that operate with bright lights only during the opening and closing of schools. That's when it's really critical, or in the morning and the afternoon. And that shouldn't be very expensive. That could be put certainly at the high school, at Corsini, and a couple of the other schools that do have through traffic. But those are the main ones that are offensive. And I would be glad to work with anybody on that, and I'd like to find out who to talk to about that, because I don't want to lose another student. We did lose one already this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. We'll get our staff in touch with you, Mr. Anderson. Chuck Parker, good to see you. We saw you on Zoom a couple of times over the last couple of years, but you're back out in person.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. What a beautiful building. This is, I'm from the era before the new city council room building, but I'm here again to talk to you about the Salton Sea. Unfortunately, the delays continue there. There's a little more work than there used to be. But we're asking our coalition, the Salton Sea Coalition, is asking you again for a resolution of support for the restoration of the Salton Sea. And you might ask, why do you need another resolution? And there's two reasons. One, the planning process is coming to an end. The Salton Sea Management Plan has an order from the State Water Board to complete a long-term plan by December 31st of this year. And they have two committees that have been given the responsibility to do that. There's a independent review panel that's reviewing all the water import proposals, and that's to satisfy the resolutions that all the cities passed for a comprehensive analysis of water import. The other committee is called the Long Range Planning Committee, and they're looking at all the old plans from 2006, which would rely on just the water that's available here in the basin of the Salton Sea. The other reason is that we have, well, the drought has gotten worse, climate change is getting worse, so really the change of circumstances have made the case for ocean water import that much stronger. There's probably not going to be enough water to do those other plans like a perimeter lake or little shallow lakes and ponds. The other reason is that there's a new report that came to light in January that if they allow the Salton Sea to dry, that exposed lake bed is rich in organic material from the dead plants and animals and fish that live there. So when the water's taken away, it's going to start emitting carbon dioxide in large amounts. And there's information in the packet that I gave the city clerk about just how much it's going to be. It's a huge amount. Yeah. And so the resolution starts out asking you to reaffirm your support of ocean water import from previous resolutions. And then the second two ask you to request of these two committees that they evaluate, take greenhouse gas emissions into account, because it's never been measured, it's never been taken into account when they're trying to choose a long-term plan. And we're afraid that if they do pick a plan that will leave large amounts of lake bed exposed, we won't be able to achieve carbon neutrality in California. So thank you it's good to see you all again. Thank you.
See you, Chuck. Thanks. Is it Felix or Felez Nunez?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's like Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad.
Feliz.
Good evening, members of the City Council. I've made my living as a registered nurse, and I'm very concerned about the health in Salton City. In the Seaview Elementary School, the plumbing is so bad because of the water is so dense, and they can't even drink it. If they shower with it, they get skin irritations. There's all these plans to make these water projects in the Coachella Valley, West Coachella Valley, to drain the aquifer, the groundwater. And we're saying that, you know, we need to import water because of the California drought, the climate change, global warming. And all of these factors, you know, are telling us we need to get water into the valley. We have proposals to have an aqueduct from either the Cia Cortez or the Pacific Ocean to bring water in, to make potable water, to desalinate, to fill all of these needed things for water. We have a saying that says, whiskey's for drinking, water's for war. We're really in going towards a future where our children are going to be lacking water. The water cost is going to go up high. Because of the climate, there's going to be less ways to grow food, grain food and vegetables. So we really have to start addressing our critical situation in this valley before it gets any worse. We have cancer clusters amongst the border patrols that guard our frontiers. That we have the Calipatria prison and the guards, the inmates that are also vulnerable to all the bad air that's all around that area. So there's a lot of people that are going to be affected if they're not already. And there has been deaths reported from the Border Patrol people that they have sent to their officials, representatives. The mothers appeared before Raul Ruiz. They appeared before Garcia Eduardo. They went to the Region 7 Water Board, and no changes have been made to give them good water. So all that's happening right now is that the situation is getting worse. There is a great impact for supporting lithium, but to have lithium, you have to have tons of water to mine it. So water is needed, and what they're doing, their measures right now for furrowing the land and making shallow ponds is only going to emit more carbon. But actually, if we had water imported, we could resolve so many problems in this valley, especially the people that are directly suffering right now. And the wind does not discriminate, so it's gonna be spread. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for coming out. I have one speaker card left. If anybody would like to speak, please fill out a blue speaker card. Ken Romanek.
Hello, City Council and staff members. I had a little problem yesterday when I went down to the HCD office in downtown Riverside to pull a permit and to check on some other permits. And they told me that they do not handle Sky Haven. I gave them our address here in Desert Hot Springs. And so then they told me to go back to Desert Hot Springs City Hall. So I did. Came back here, met with staff here, and then they told me the same thing, that they're not allowed to handle any permit taking from Sky Havens. I heard the word only, but I'm not sure about that. So I said, we got to resolve this. And I spoke to another city planner or engineer, whoever it was. And he told me that he's not allowed. I asked if I can get something in writing so we can give to our community that we can no longer pull permits here in Desert Hot Springs regarding Sky's Haven. Because that's what HCD, well, that's what I was told here. So then one of the staff members called HCD on the phone while I was waiting, and she sort of went back and forth with them, and she told them, would you please double check? And then finally I heard her say, would you please triple check? Because we cannot pull any permits here at Desert Hot Springs for Sky's Haven. So after the lady was off the phone for about 5 minutes, she came back and she said, yes, you're correct. HCD made a mistake. DHS can no longer give permits to Sky's Haven for any reason. We're not aware of that. So I found out yesterday. So I'm asking the city if you guys can produce a letter so I can give it to our community, so we can tell them that, hey, you can't go down to City Hall and pull permits anymore. We have to go downtown Riverside from now on. That's all I'm asking for. And if I can't get it here, I'll have to go to the state and see what they can do in giving us a letter, because everything is verbal. Nobody will give us anything in writing. So if you guys can handle it, I really appreciate it.
Great. We'll have somebody from our staff reach out to you.
Thank you.
All right. I have nobody else who had public speakers cards. Anybody else would like to step forward and speak to the City Council this time on non-agenda items? I see nobody coming forward. We'll close public comment at this time. We'll move to City Manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'd like to welcome Battalion Chief Tierney here tonight. Thank you for sitting in for Chief Beverlin. We're going to start with a financial update and then move to Public Works.
All right, good evening, Mayor and council members. So our financial highlights as of May 2nd, 2022. The fiscal year 21-22 revenues are $18.6 million, which is 59% of the amended budget. Last year at this time, the revenues were $16.3 million, which was 64%, and 2 years ago, it was revenues were $14.9 million at 65%. Our fiscal year 21-22 expenditures are now at almost to $20.5 million, which is 65% of the amended budget. Last year at this time, the expenditures were at $19 million, which was 70% of the budget, and 2 years ago, the expenditures were at $18.3 million, which was 76% of the budget.
Thanks, Jeffrey. And now for Public Works, Nick Haker.
Good evening. I got some pictures together for the Public Works update. Tedesco Park, as you've seen, we've been doing the upgrades at the parks. Currently, they are working on, and already started, I believe they poured today. They removed the old playground equipment since we installed the new playground equipment. We removed the splash pad that was non-operational, and also a rock wall that was kind of dilapidating. In its place, we're going to move all the picnic tables and the barbecues and everything underneath that shelter so you can enjoy year-round shade coverage in the park. This actually worked out very well considering we just installed the brand new playground equipment with the shade structure just feet away. You might have also noticed that there's new striping out in the city. This is on Park Lane and Palm. This is the first picture on the left is coming out of Park Lane to go right onto Palm. This has been a right turn only, but it gave the illusion that it was a left straight or a right. Now it shows that it is a right turn only. And then this is on Two Bunch Palms Drive. We had a resident come in a while back requesting a refresh of the striping. They're going to put the RPMs in there for the markings at night. And then this is the Keep Clear, turning on Palm, going into the Vaughn Shopping Center. So traffic doesn't back up onto Palm while people are trying to make that left-hand turn. And that's it.
Thanks, Nick. That concludes my report.
Great. Moving along here. City Mayor and Council report. I think I started there last time. I'll start here this time. Mr. Betts.
Let's see, our public speakers have left. I want to, oh no, I'm sorry, you're here still. Good. I think there's certainly something we can do about the traffic on Hacienda, and I'm confident staff's going to look into a solution for that for you. I think all of the council's concerned about that. So thanks for bringing that up. And I want to thank Chuck Parker for his efforts on Salton Sea. I'm going to try and be as brief as I can, just run down the meetings I went to. We had a business workshop forum in here for the local manufacturers and businesses. It was, we brought in the the National Labor Relations Board and the Agricultural Labor Relations Board to try and share with businesses some of the pitfalls that they can run into in a labor organizing drive or just general issues that have to do with labor. It was a good forum, was well attended. I want to thank staff for their help. You guys did a fantastic job facilitating that, and a lot of good questions from the business owners that were here. So that was a good, successful event. After that, I met with my fellow council member, Gary Gardner, continue to hash out the vacation rental ordinance adjustments. And what we think we have that next meeting? Next meeting. So a lot of people have been asking about it. So we got to keep mentioning it. We're working on it, making progress in next meeting, right?
We're not playing cards.
Yeah. So anyhow, it's been a pleasure working with you on that. Attended the Sunline meeting. They're still working on contract issues. Something about strike mentioned in the paper. I don't think it's going to come to that, but you never know. Attended, what was this one? I can't even read my writing. That's why I was going to be a newspaper reporter, but I could never read my writing, so I was always misquoting people, and who knew? Today, at age, you could misquote all you want to, and it doesn't matter. Well, we'll get back to that one if I can figure out what it says. Oh, my God. All right. Attended a event for the, what's the Day of the Child? Is that what they called it? Down at the library. Jan, I saw you there, and that was a great event, wasn't it? Yes. The energy was fantastic. It was really well attended. The city had a booth there. Lots and lots of participation inside the library. The meeting room was just busy and bustling, and just a lot of really good energy there. It was nice to see. I mean, we got this great library facility, and I talked to the librarian there. I said, "Is this building full all the time?" And she says, "Just about. They have some scheduling conflicts, but man, we're really lucky to have that facility." And that was just a really darn nice event. The only other thing that's come up is a lot of questions over the, what do they call it, the 218 process on the waste collection fees. And I want to thank the staff for a very detailed mailing that went out. It's a little onerous to read. It's 16 pages, well, 8 in English and 8 in Spanish. So that becomes a little bit challenging for people. I called the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association to see what they thought, and they thought, well, that's commendable that our city staff put out so much information, because a lot of them don't. So that will be coming back to this council. How many mailings did we send out? Do we know it was about 14,000, was it? 15,000. So what's half of 15,000? 7,500? So there needs to be 7,501 protest letters received back into City Hall. And the opinion I got from Howard Jarvis and some other attorneys who I know is that that's a really tough challenge to meet, to get that many protest letters to come back, and it most likely won't happen. So ultimately, whatever happens there is going to rest on this council. When we sent that out, it wasn't, it's almost impossible for anybody to defeat that if they wanted to. So that'll be coming back to the council. If you have any questions, I'm sure staff is happy to answer. You can give me a call. Basically, it comes down to 3 items that end up on your trash bill. 2 that we basically can't control, and 1 we can. So pay attention there. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Pye and I, just prior to this meeting, got a chance to visit with a new business here in the Coachella Industrial Park, Nutrinomics, cannabis pharmaceutical type company, and some of the stuff they were doing there is absolutely amazing, and I'm continuing to be amazed at the innovation that's going on in our cannabis industry here in town. Just some amazing stuff. The Desert Hot Springs Historical Society Soup Supper, Doria Willems, our Deputy City Manager, gave a wonderful, very well-received presentation, and it was the first soup supper in 2 years, so it's good to see everybody out there. And Doria, you knocked it out of the park, and I got a lot of nice comments, so thank you for that. Got a chance to speak at the Palm Springs Women in Real Estate Lunch about the growth in Desert Hot Springs and some of the exciting projects we have coming forth this year. So far, this is the most amazing statistic that I was able to give them, and you know, the jaws dropped. So far this year, we have 867 new houses in the pipeline. Compare that to 117 last year. That's an amazing number. One of those new homes is the St. Jude Dream Home in the Agua Dulce development. They had the floor signing ceremony last week, along with a number of the other partners of the project. I got to autograph the floor and commemorate that milestone. And the new DHS residents will be moving in soon. St. Jude has been very, very complimentary to Desert Hot Springs, and our residents bought more than 13% of the tickets sold. A couple of them actually got some of the second and third prizes too, which was nice, and it was quite an honor for us to host them this year. I hope we can do that again down the road. And finally, I was honored to fill in for the mayor again and present certificates to our graduating Marine Corps Junior ROTC cadets at Desert Hot Springs High School last Friday. And if you don't know, we have the premier Marine Corps Junior ROTC program in the state. These young people do our city very proud with their commitment and their sacrifices, with many of them going on to serve in the Marines after graduation. And I want to call out one special cadet, Lieutenant Colonel Adriana Vasquez. She was awarded a major scholarship from the National Naval Reserve Officer Training Corps Association as one of the best junior ROTC cadets in the nation. There's only 3 or 4 of these scholarships a year. This scholarship was for, and I thought it was a typo when I sat down and looked at it in the program, and it wasn't, because I hold up this giant check to give her, $180,000 scholarship from the Marine Corps ROTC. To one person? To one person, $180,000. She also got another scholarship on top of that for $9,000, so $189,000 in scholarships to this young woman from Desert Hot Springs High School, and she's going to go to Berkeley with that. This young cadet will no doubt go far in her schooling. I hope she'll return to her hometown and bring her spirit of service back to our city. So congratulations to Lieutenant Colonel Vasquez and all the other graduates and scholarship recipients, and to First Sergeant Nichelle Webb, USMC retired, who leads this amazing program, and they do us all proud. And I'm telling you, Sergeant Webb is an amazing, amazing coordinator for that program, and she even makes me salute. I'm not in the Marines. It's just a natural urge when you're around her. So that's all I've got, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Nunez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Saturday, April 23rd, part of the cleanup committee, we did a house here in Desert Hot Springs, San Simon, which is it was a beautiful day to help the community clean up. The gentleman that we helped, so let me backtrack here. So the whole reason why I wanted to get involved with the cleanup community also is not only to help them clean up the yard, because a lot of them have issues outside of that. And my question was, okay, we go in there, clean up the house, the yard, whatnot, but 4 or 5 months down the road, then what? What do we do? So I wanted to make sure that, this gentleman is set up for services. So I told him, hey, once we clean up your yard, what is your plan? What is your goal? You have family on the East Coast, you have family in Arizona, but, you live by yourself. What are we doing? How are we helping you? So I want to set up this committee that we make sure we maintain them and just follow up to say, hey, if you need services, you need Meals on Wheels, you need the senior center, you need transportation for appointments or whatnot. So I'm hoping that we can incorporate that to our committee, Mr. Mayor. When we do cleanups, we just don't only just go in there and clean up their house and bye, we're done with you. That we maintain them and make sure that, they're the follow-up to our cleanup. Because I really hate to go back the following year and find the same situation going on. So that was that Saturday. Nice gentleman, just elderly, couldn't no longer take care of his yard. So I'm hoping that we can continue with the committee and make more positive effects going that way. So hope you can join me, Mr. Mayor, next time we go out there, that we can, I think your spirit in talking to him, get him moving. Also, I just want to talk to Nick. Nick, thank you for the follow-up on the parks. Do we know where we're at on our future parks master plan? Or Dan or Nick?
Yeah, the RFP was released, and they're actually due next Tuesday? Next Tuesday, yeah. So we're expecting to receive them next Tuesday, and then we start reviewing those.
Okay, perfect. And lastly, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to see, so I got a chance to talk to Luke about some of the issues that we're having, not only with short-term rentals, but rentals in general. My understanding, when someone wants to rent their house, that they need a business license. So I want to see if I can get support from one of the council members to put this on the agenda so we can talk and discuss and see what that looks like. When would this happen? When did this happen? Why would it happen? And what changes we need to make it. So.
I'll be happy to join you in a second on
Well,
that.
first, what I'll do is I'll have staff look into it and get us detailed report on what exactly Mr. Nunez needs, and then we'll bring it back for discussion as we always do and see if it's something we want to talk about further. Ms. Pai?
Okay, we had a homeless committee meeting. Basically for us, it was about the fire station on this street. And Palm Springs had offered to do a shelter, kind of speaking, at the firehouse. It is not going to happen. It's not feasible. The Airport Commission is working on baggage. The airlines are responsible for it, but we're having so many airlines now coming in, they're stacked on top of each other. So the Airport Commission is working on it, and hopefully that will be resolved shortly. I wanted to talk about the finance report. There was a little bit more that you could have talked about, and I'll do it for you. Transit occupancy tax is at 96% for 21-22. It was 77 at 2021, and it was at 85. So we're moving forward. Also, business licenses, we're at 101 for 21-22. We were at 95% at 2021 and 69% of 19-20. Building permits, 94% for 21-22, 93% for 2021, and 63% for 19-20. Planning fees, 81% for 21-22, 83 for 2021, but 78 for 19 and 20. So you said it correctly, but there's little figures that go in there that means we're doing well. Mr. Mayor, I'm done.
Thank you very much for your guys' reports. Mine won't be long tonight. I had a meeting with the county supervisor. We're trying to meet quarterly on issues that face our community and talk about what we can do to coordinate together on those issues. So we had a list for the county supervisor, and he'll be assisting us with that. One of the things on the list, which has been a larger discussion for a long time, is what to do with the old library facility. The county actually owns that building and the land under it. So we are working towards more of a senior center campus in the future, and they were going to move first 5 into that location, but they are not now because they are moving into the WIC building, which is next to the library. So the discussion is open again for how the city can capture that building and be able to utilize it better for our seniors. So we're working on that, and a few other ideas were put on the table on some other issues. I was able to do a lot of speaking this month. Last month, I don't know if it was before the last meeting, I think it was before the last meeting, I was able to speak to the women's realtors of the Coachella Valley, and then I was invited to speak to a group of women investors this morning, but I think there was probably close to 40 of them in the room, maybe 40. And then I was asked to speak at the Women's Club of Desert Hot Springs right afterwards. So all our women entrepreneurs and business leaders in our communities have been out in force. And so it's always great to talk about the city, as Gary talked about. It's always fun to get out there and do that. Wanted to thank George Padilla. I think we've done this publicly before, but he had been the cleanup committee chair. And a lot of times we can sit here as the political figures of our community, but we have so much on our plate that it's hard to keep things moving forward. And he kept that committee moving forward for quite a long time. He's run into some challenges that he's going to move on at this point. So we'll be revamping the committee, as Mr. Nunez said, and we'll be working towards some solutions on making sure that these projects continue and there's follow-up behind them. And then tomorrow night we'll be working, there's been a citizen group appointed by me with some business leaders and talking about the downtown area and kind of helping staff steer that towards a vision that can be presented to the city council in the future. So pretty excited about everything that's going on. I appreciate all the hard work from the city council, and we'll continue to report out our projects and where we're working for you and our community. We have one public hearing tonight. It's item number 1 on our agenda. It's an ordinance adding definition of sustainable housing and carports. Eric, is that going to be you or?
That is going to be myself today.
Hey.
I have a small presentation. So to simplify this, the reason why this is coming forward is we've had a significant amount of interest from the development community in bringing forward very unique types of materials, sustainable materials. We even have one developer in the audience right now. They do 3D printed homes, sustainable materials as well. And what we have noticed and what we found is that unfortunately these pre-manufactured or sustainable types of housings, they are not always very compatible with the architecture and the attachment of a garage. So what we are bringing forward is something that we feel is reasonable and fair and will not only accommodate the developers but also keep the community clean from debris out in the public yard. There we go. So a little bit of background information. We're working closely with HCD to complete our housing element compliance, and with that what we have is having to comply to affirmatively furthering fair housing, or AFFH is what it's referred to. So what this does is it's a program really to emphasize the importance of removing barriers to development for housing. Oh, there we go. So housing element compliance, the housing element has to include a schedule of actual actions that the city takes forward and makes as a change. These have to have quantifiable outcomes, meaning that if we make a change such as an ordinance, that there's an actual outcome, so an actual development comes from that. And we have several that have come forward and showed interest in this program, which is why we're bringing this forward. So first we create the policy, which is the sustainable housing definition and carport ordinance. We've taken it to Planning Commission, now it's coming as a first reading to City Council. What this is doing is helping us establish a very healthy 6-cycle housing element, and as well establishes an actual quantifiable goal, meaning that we will hopefully see a result from this. Our goal for this is going to be 1 new sustainable housing community each year. We currently have 2 developers, like I've stated, and actually 1/3 one has come forward since the Planning Commission meeting that are interested in taking advantage of this. So at the bottom I have a very simple timeline. We create the policy. It then incentivizes developers, or we hope it does. This helps us reach our housing goals through new development, Barriers are then removed and inclusive housing communities are created. So the actual sustainable housing definition shall mean a development of 2 or more houses newly constructed subject to a homeowners association registered with the Department of Real Estate, and such homes must be built using green building materials, and in addition shall include 1 or more of the following: 1, energy efficient materials; 2, water efficient measures; 3, leadership in energy and environmental design, otherwise known as LEED certified building, or 4, which is green building certification. So the carport amendment, what we are changing here is strictly adding this to our table 17.48.040, which is stating that you will still need to have 2 minimum spaces for the carport. It needs to be attached and it needs to be architecturally compatible. This meaning that when we have and allow for carports, what we're doing is we're stating that they need to be in an HOA to prevent clutter or debris to be accumulated in the front of a home, which is why this is not bringing forward to all the community. It's very specific that we have this in HOAs to verify that there is compliance and we don't have as many code compliance complaints come through. So just to give you a little bit of history of the carport, sometimes we oversee these basic terms, but carport has a really amazing kind of background to it. It actually started as in the French 17th century term being used for coach gateway. At these entrances, we had the coaches come up with the horses and drop the people off. It was a very integral part of design in that time and really translated into what we have today, which is now primarily being used for cars. The porte cochere was a feature of many late 18th and 19th century mansions and public buildings. One of them being the Buckingham Palace in London. We've had several staff members go out there. So it's really neat to tie that to that. And also Frank Lloyd Wright, one of my favorite architects, he applied that into a lot of his architecture, which is really nice. Great Cliff, one of the more beautiful buildings in Buffalo, New York. So today, porte cocheres are found in both elaborate type of private homes, public buildings, and now we're seeing them be innovatively integrated into sustainable types of housing. A really good example that was brought up before was one about shipping containers. We have a development that came forward and said, hey, we want to do shipping container homes. No other city wants us there. We thought, okay, show us what you're doing. They showed us these beautiful, magnificent homes. We want them here. But how do we can't get a garage attached to them. It's not going to be architecturally compatible. So how do we work with them to still accomplish a clean and safe community? This is how we do it, is develop a really unique ordinance that applies to development. Example, I'm a more visual person, so here is a picture of what we would consider to be allowed, and below is what we would consider an example of what is not allowed. By the way, these aren't, the bottom pictures are not pictures in our community. They're pictures I found online. But nonetheless, you could drive around, you can see why we wouldn't allow for ones like that and why we would allow for other ones. We definitely want development, we want to encourage development, but we want healthy development. So the example of the proposed sustainable housing development, it needs to be comprised of sustainable materials and meet the definition of sustainable housing. The carport has to be architecturally compatible, still has to meet our zoning requirements, setbacks. It has to meet all current building codes. It has to meet all structural design requirements, which includes our 130-mile-an-hour wind speed design. And it also needs to be in a new HOA. This is not allowed in infill lots at this time. So why sustainable housing with carports is only allowed in new HOAs? One, it prevents the, like we said, accumulation of debris. We do want to have healthy development and encourage healthy ways of living. HOAs, they do provide a sense of guidance so that there is definition in how the house is supposed to look. There is a level of integrity that's placed on that. Not to say that ones in infills are not, but at least it's regulated and controlled. It's managed by an HOA. This as well helps lower the burden on code enforcement and incentivizes a more minimalistic type of lifestyle and prevents exterior hoarding. So these are some other examples of types of carports that we would allow. and these are examples of ones we would not. So our recommendation is that the City Council approve an ordinance amending Section 17.04.050 definitions to add a definition for sustainable housing. 2, amending Section 17.48.040 number of parking spaces required for newly constructed single-family dwellings located within a registered homeowners association, and 3, amending Table 17.48.060 to add attached carports for sustainable new single-family residential developments. That concludes my report, and I am here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Our next item is to take questions from City Council for staff. I'll start down here, Ms. Pye.
If there's an HOA that does not want this, do they have to, is there a way for them not to have it?
Yeah, so this is really for them to come forward to us. So the developer, this is the development itself that would come forward with this design, and those designs obviously go through the entitlement process, and such would go to Planning Commission. So there wouldn't be an item where we would have an HOA conflicting and not wanting this. This is only for newly constructed HOAs that would want this.
Thank you.
Mr. Nunez.
Good job, Eric. You sold me. The only thing I did see is that you see a LEED certified home, and you have a V8 Chevy, 65 Chevy outside, right over. It makes no sense, but you're neither here or there.
With gas prices today, you probably won't see that anymore. Mayor Protem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, Eric, I was going to say the same thing, that vehicle was not LEED certified, but I do want to really say once again, you and your staff really knocked it out of the park with this one. It's a great idea. It's like the pre-approved ADU plans. It's just another example of us thinking outside the box. You and your staff coming up with creative ways. We really do need to lower our housing costs. This will help do it. And I particularly like the fact that it is limited to a new construction, new HOAs, and they also have to have the LEED or the green compliant piece of it too. So I'm really excited to see these developments come forth. We have a lot of, we are one of the most affordable places to live in Southern California, and it's still kind of getting very out of hand for a lot of our residents. And I think the more creative ways that we can come up with for lower priced housing is really going to benefit and increase our home ownership here, which is something that we really need to do. So kudos to you and your staff. I thought it was, I think it's a great idea. And like my colleague, Mr. Nunez said, you sold me.
Mr. Betts.
Yeah, so you mentioned it's minimum 2 cars, carport, and that
Yes.
would be non-tandem, meaning not like this, but side by side. I didn't see that in the code.
That's correct. So there's minimum dimensions for garage spaces, so those would still be applicable.
So we got 18 feet by 20 feet is the pad size.
That's correct.
For the carport, but, so that's what you're saying, that it has to follow that?
I can look into our code and get back to you on that, but from the way we drafted it, the same size as what we would require for a garage, the same size footprint would be required for a carport.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we don't have you end up with a very narrow carport deep, and it wasn't written into the code as I read through what was in the staff packet. So I'd like to see, staff make sure that that's taken care of, but that's the intent here, that gets spelled out and whatever gets finalized and signed by the mayor, that be included so that it's side-by-side parking, not tandem.
That's totally understandable.
And then there was something about setbacks, and this could be 4 feet from does this follow the same setback as a garage would in our existing building code, or are we relaxing that standard?
No, the setbacks still meet the same, they still have to meet the same architectural setbacks. The 4-foot change was only for ADUs, so specifically for ADUs, that was only in reference to the side and rear setbacks. So in this case, that's not applicable because it's not an actual ADU that the carport is. It's a carport itself.
Okay,
So
thanks for that clarification. I was a little confused on that. I just want to make sure that if it's just going to be a carport, it's still basically situated with the same setback as would a garage. I don't quite get the part about, I guess we're just going to rely on the HOAs to control the clutter. Some HOAs, I see that's okay, other ones it's a problem. I was originally coming to this meeting with some type of visual barrier, but then I figured you put that in there, how does somebody pull two cars in? So I gave up on that idea. I'll just go along with your HOA idea. Don't we have one of these on Mesquite and Ocotillo that went in? There's a house down there on Mesquite and Ocotillo, and I looked at it. It's kind of like a mid-century modern. I thought when it was under construction, it really looked odd. And then when it finished up, it actually turned out looking pretty darn nice, at least by my eye. So we have one of these that's already in there. Is that just something that slipped through the building process and got approved?
Carports are, they are allowed with parameters. So I'd have to see that specific one and what it went through as far as the review process. But the carports themselves cannot be in lieu of a garage.
Well, this
right
one
now.
has no garage. It just has carports. So maybe that slipped through, but I was happy to hear you say that that's not going to be allowed.
No.
Even though if we let one slip through by mistake, that's not going to be allowed.
No, yes, just to clarify, yeah, this is not applicable to infill lots, so we'll not see that.
Okay, so I think what's happening here is this is lowering the cost of housing, because what a garage used to cost about $7,000 to add onto a house, now it's probably about 20 or more. So if we could just get the California legislature to do something about the California building code, that, we keep making these houses simpler and smaller, and they keep piling on. On one hand, they want us to make them more affordable. On the other hand, they keep doing everything they can to make them more expensive. Thanks, really good report.
Yeah, the only comment I have is, I manage HOAs for a living. This is easy enough to govern because they handle their own governance. They're forced by law to put together their own governing documents and have their own architectural review processes, which will have to follow city standards. So before they even get permits, they already have their standards set. So it's good ordinance. At this time, I'm going to open the public hearing and take any public testimony in favor. Is anybody in the audience who would like to speak to this in favor? See, but nobody coming forth. Is anybody opposed to this ordinance? See nobody coming forward. Is there anybody in neutral position that would like to speak? Final call for public hearing. No public comments. We'll close the public hearing at this time. If there's no more city council discussion, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion that we accept staff recommendation, but that the ordinance specify the cars will be side by side, not in tandem, and that would be the motion.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any more discussion? Please vote.
Just a tip to you guys, if you keep your microphone on, you get in there quicker with the motion.
Motion passes unanimously. This is the first reading of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Desert Hot Springs. 1, amending section 17.04.050, definitions to add definition for sustainable housing. 2, amending section 17.48.040, number of parking spaces required for newly constructed single-family dwellings located within a registered homeowners association. And 3, amending table 17.48.060 to add attached carports for sustainable new single-family residential developments. The ordinance will return on May 17th for second reading and adoption.
Great. We'll move to the administrative calendar. Item number 2 is the applications to operate fireworks stands, TNT Fireworks, Michael Casserly, and FW 22-1 through FW 22-5.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow city council members. This item is fireworks permit applications 22-1 through 22-5, and I do have a short PowerPoint presentation. We received 5 applications, and here are the locations with the nonprofits. So fireworks permit application 22-1 is for the DHS Eagles football, which is located at 13200 Palm Drive, and that's the Stater Brothers parking lot. Fireworks application 22-2 is for the DHS Little League at 14200 Palm Drive, which is the Vaughn's Shopping Center. Fireworks 22-3 permit is Lily of the Valley Worship Center at 65945 Pearson Boulevard, across the street from the fire station, police station. Fireworks permit 22-4 is for the DHS Ladies Eagles basketball, which is at 12425 Palm Drive. They're just adjacent to Desert Tires. And the last one, fireworks permit application 22-5, is the DHS Football Booster Club at 14677 Palm Drive, which is the grocery outlet parking lot. All the applications were reviewed by the Fireworks Committee, consisting of one representative from the Fire Department, one representative from the city's Finance Department, one representative from the City Manager's Office, and one representative from the city's Planning Department. Based on the committee review, all 5 applications were determined to meet all submittal requirements, all safety requirements, and all applicable permit requirements. Each year, the City Council may issue up to 4 fireworks permits. However, the applicant, TNT Fireworks, has indicated to staff that they would like to request that the City Council make an exception and approve all 5 applications. And it is the recommendation of the Fireworks Committee to the City Council that they approve all 5 applications subject to their conditions of approval. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Get it all worked out over there? Mr. Betts? Did you get everything worked out over there? You were asking questions of staff. It echoes in here. I was just making sure you got all your questions answered. Yeah, I did actually. Great. Yeah, it echoes through here. So with that, the presentation's over. We'll do public comments. Anybody in the audience like to speak to this item? All right, I see nobody coming forward. The only comment I have, Dan, is really not a big fan of the site for, and I don't know which nonprofit it is, for the Desert Tire site. And the reason for is, Gary has no hair, but he gets his beard trimmed. I have no hair and I get a haircut. I don't know what's up. But we both go to the same barber shop. We used to when it was located in there. And it's very congested. There's not a lot of easy ingress or egress out of there. I mean, I don't want to stop the fireworks site from happening there. I just think maybe next year we take a location look at that and really, TNT I know does the work usually to get the sites. Maybe we encourage them at a better site that's going to be better ingress and egress to get in and out of there. Because there's no...
It's a dirt lot.
Yeah, it's a dirt lot, first of all, which we shouldn't be allowing them to park on.
Yeah.
And people come in and out of there, and then there's no way to get off onto, what is that, Kuya? And then, no, it's Kuya above. And then, so they have to go back through the parking lot, and that parking lot is not easy to navigate, especially during the day when they have businesses. So I'm not going to stop this from moving forward, but I think we need to talk about it next year, really looking at a different site that's going to have better parking.
Exactly. I can concur with the mayor. It's not necessarily the parking, it's the location with the barn right next door, because when the football, the high school football team had it there a couple of years ago, it was, I mean, you got all the people that are inebriated coming out of the bar and going to where the kids were. So that's my biggest concern, is having it next to that bar.
You know, and I kind of share that concern, but the other thought I had for moving forward next year, because we do this every year, we have 4 in the code and we always approve 5. Let's think about next year just amending the code to do 5 or 6 or whatever, or leave it up to staff discussion so that it doesn't have to come back to us for an override every single year. So, but fireworks season again, and we're ready to go.
Well, it's a great fundraiser for all the organizations. I know when I worked with Little League on theirs, it was half their budget, if not more, for the year that they would collect, and it's a lot of work. But we want to make sure that it's safe.
Can we just make this, can we do this now, take it from 4 to 5, since that's what it is every year, we'll do a separate noticed item?
Yeah, so what you have before you is not an ordinance. Technically, it would have to come back before you as an amendment to the ordinance.
So can we get staff to do that, because I think it's 5 every year, we can do away with that, and then staff could just deal with this and notify council, and it seems to be pretty routine. I mean, we do have a good opportunity here to look at the locations, but we could take that up a step anyhow, and I agree with you. I bought some fireworks there. It was a little difficult getting in and out. I would think between now and then they might be able to rectify that problem by a site change, as long as it was, you know, TNT's pretty good at sorting that out. Tell them find another location if they can. I don't think the nonprofit's going to be wed to that particular locations as long as they've got a good and acceptable one.
I think what they're trying to do is spread them out, so trying to find something in that area that's big enough to put in gets to be tough.
Yeah. Anyhow,
But yeah, I agree, yeah.
I would just say go ahead and try and find another.
The only thing I would have to say is when is the deadline for nonprofits to submit?
March 30th.
March 30th.
Through April 6th is their time frame, and it was right on March 30th.
So it's only open for a week?
Oh, wait, did you mean to apply or they're
Yeah, to
allowed
apply
to
and
be open?
then, yeah,
Oh, to
the-
apply March 30th through April 6th. And in the years past, and I know one of the stands used to be down at the Valero, so it's an alternative site possibly too.
And then I guess I would just ask, why does it limit to just 5? You know, why not just, you know, and, because I know we have a lot of youth activities, so a lot of the nonprofits are going to want to come out and so, you know, how do you, I would hate to be in his position to say, okay, no, you know, Little League's out and AYSO is in. So, I mean, I would really hate
It
to
really
limit
has
that.
nothing to do with us, it has to do with TNT supply.
Right.
So they had made a suggestion that we start with that, with 3 first, then we did 4, and now
Exactly.
we're at 5.
Exactly.
And then, you know, we've taken applications up to 6, 7, and so I think it's really just on TNT agreeing to the supply. If not, there's other organizations, there's other firework vendors, so.
Okay.
I know
wouldn't
Cathedral
want,
City used to have 2 vendors.
yeah. So I wouldn't want to, you know, limit just 5 and that's it. So, and it leaves out a lot of organizations raising money for student events, just like, you know, the Small City, you know, art committee that want to do things. It really gives them a limited space and only a week to apply it. I don't know. I just can't say it's 5 and that's it. And we're done.
I got one other question. One year we had they were required to pass out a notice regarding the illegal fireworks and the amount of the fine for the illegal fireworks. Is that incorporated into what you're presenting us today, or can we incorporate that now?
I think we absolutely should.
And that they were required with every sale to pass out, put in the bag or however they do it, a piece of paper that the city designs notifying them what the fine is.
I think they've done that every year since we did it, so it might not be an issue already. It might already be something they're doing, but you can ask them. I think
Well,
they're already doing it.
Been here long enough, you keep bringing the same thing up over and over again, right?
I could put it in the final staff report that it's a requirement.
Yeah, I would like to have it be a requirement and that they pass them out and that the city will supply the paper.
Any questions, Ms. Pye?
No.
All right, you have your recommendation on there. We'll entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt the resolution, or the application to operate fireworks stands FW 22-1, FW 22-4.
I'd like to, well, get your second, but I'd like,
I got the second, go ahead.
I want to add in what Councilmember Betts added in about the requirement.
For the notification of illegal
Yes.
fireworks, yeah.
Yes.
That was in there, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like it's all there. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Make it a really scary notice, would you please?
Item 3 on the administrative calendar is a resolution listing projects to be funded by Senate Bill 1 for fiscal year 22-23. I keep looking over to the name on the thing, but then another, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This report is regarding the Senate Bill 1 resolution listing projects for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. In 2027, the state passed Senate Bill 1, which gives funding to eligible cities and counties for basic road maintenance, rehabilitation, and critical safety projects on the local streets and roadway systems. Cities are required to adopt a resolution each fiscal year which identifies the projects that will utilize the SB 1 funds. Based on the latest State Department of Finance projects, the projected revenue for the 22-23 fiscal year for the City of Desert Hot Springs is $685,800. The current SB 1 fund balance as of March 24th, 2022 is $912,510. The total available funds for the 2022-2023 fiscal year will be $1,589,310. Staff is recommending the following capital improvement projects to be funded in the 2022-2023 fiscal year. Palm Drive North from Pearson Avenue to Mission Lakes in the amount of $600,000. Citywide annual slurry in the amount of $40,000. Citywide annual striping in the amount of $20,000. Camino Campanero, Avenida Descanso, and Camino Aventura slurry seal improvements in the amount of $32,105. And the Mountain View resurfacing in the amount of $577,800. If approved, an estimated total of $1,269,905 will be funded through SB 1 funds. Any remaining funds will be utilized for the Hacienda project that has grant approval and needs to be completed in the next fiscal year. Staff recommends that City Council adopt a resolution listing projects to be funded in fiscal year 2022-2023 by Senate Bill 1 Road Maintenance Rehabilitation Account Funds with an estimated amount of $1,269,905.
This time, we'll take any public comments. Is there any public comments? Anyone would like to come forward? There's those two of you left in the audience. We've bored everybody else to death. All right, shaking heads. I have just one question on that map. Can we put that map back up?
Oh.
Question is on the streets on Camino Campanero, Avenida Descanso, and Camino Aventura. Those are half in the city, half in the county. Are we partnering with the county to finish this? Got it.
Yeah.
That's the only question I had. I'll start down here, Ms. Pye. Mr. Nunez?
Just one question. This SB fund money, could we use that portion of that or the rest, whatever's left, to do crosswalks for the schools?
We could, the only thing is that the Hacienda improvements are tied to a grant, and we need to allocate those funds, so we're trying to save some of that for that funding the following fiscal year.
Mr. Gardner? Mr. Betts?
Quick question. So I had the same question you did regarding Camino Aventura, and I think what's happening is the county had a project planned for that already. And so they're going in and and there's projects all over the city that you're looking at, right? I have a lot of people, when they see this, they say, well, what about us? And you guys have looked all over the city and just determined that these are the priority now, based on circumstances, right? I'm looking at this thinking originally was, get Park Lane over to, what is that, Mesquite, and go on up to get some circulation away from Two Bunch Palms and Palm Drive. That intersection is really busy and going to get busier. And we were talking about West Drive over here where that new development's going in, coming down, what was that, I forget the name of that street, Claire, over to West. But you've picked it already, so that's okay, but I'd sure like to look in the future at those things. Now, slurry seal, $40,000 and $32,000. How much do you think it costs to slurry seal, say, a fifth of the streets in the city? Do we know? How much is slurry seal?
I think last time we did a payment management plan, it was like 1.5 million to slurry everything for the next 4 years, something like that.
Every road would be how much?
For half. It was like every year was 1.5 million for about 5 years to get every single street.
Okay, but we're still not doing that, right? We're only doing, what's the 40,000 and the 32,000 for?
We partner with the gas company and MPL, and we do half widths whenever they're doing only half widths, so we're able to extend it farther out.
So we are getting some slurry seal out of them.
We're doing a lot more,
but we still
yes.
don't have a slurry seal program ourselves.
Correct.
Which we should. But that's for another day. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Move the resolution for projects to be funded by Senate Bill 1 for fiscal year 2022 and 23.
Is there a second?
Before I...
Hold on, I got to get a second before you ask your question.
Yeah, I was in a second with the question.
Did you second it?
Yes.
Okay, can you push the button on the screen? Mr. Nunez, go ahead.
Do we roughly know how much money is going to be left over after, because I'm really looking at those crosswalks, and I'm hoping that we can somehow tie this to SB money, but if it's not going to be that much, if it's not, worthwhile, then I know,
We could look into it absolutely.
Where are you looking at crosswalks? Hacienda up there by the school?
Yeah, by Corsini, a lit crosswalk.
How much does a crosswalk cost?
You're asking the wrong person.
Now we're off of topic, so I don't mean to be the downer on this, but you guys should talk to their
Well,
city manager.
I'm asking if some of the funds of this, I think his question is, could some of these
I
funds
understand.
and part of this
We're
be added to
stretching
this?
what the item is. I totally get where you guys are going. What I'm saying is, let's talk to city manager, have him bring it back as an item so we can get into a
Okay,
longer
well,
discussion.
let me ask you a question here.
Yeah.
So this is a proposal to come to us, and we can accept it, or we could modify it. I mean, we'd be pretty stupid to go
Sure,
sit there
if
and
you
say we're
wanna
going to
go
go
that
doing other
direction.
city streets. But I don't think adding a crosswalk to this project, is there funding sufficient to be able to add that crosswalk?
There's various options for a crosswalk. You can go as small as $5,000 up to $200,000. So it depends which one. I think we can look into it and then see which ones we can come back for you.
All right, all right. Anyhow, I'm just thinking, I'm trying to see if there's an opportunity here.
If we can tie it to the motion somehow,
Well,
guys-
except that they've already said that the funding, any excess funding needs to go to the Hacienda project because that has to be completed this year or we lose the grant funding for it. So I sympathize on the crosswalk project, but in order to complete the Hacienda project, if they're short $1,000 and they can pull it from the SB1
Mayor, if I
funding, we
may,
need to do that.
we're happy to look at crosswalks and get the request from the council and come back with a plan.
Yeah, They're saying no is what they've said multiple times. So what they're saying is that there's not any extra money. Yes, they did say that. They said there's not any extra money. What you have to do is take away from the project that's there now. There's not any extra money right now on this SB1. But coming back, what the council's made it very clear is that we want to tie it into a crosswalk project possibly, and they're going to look at some options to bring back to you, and maybe we can get that done, because obviously it's a concern in our community by the people that spoke today and the last meeting.
So, Mr. Nunez, I'm happy to accept that, you know, this round of funding isn't going to include a crosswalk, but I'm really happy for the conversation that's been brought up here that seems to, you know, gotten the impetus for staff to bring us back a crosswalk plan in the very near future.
Does that satisfy everybody?
Very well. So thanks for the contribution there. That's good. What?
All right, please vote.
I'm sorry, thank you.
Of course.
All right, you sticking around for the next one?
Yep.
Item number 4, Mountain View Resurfacing Agreement.
Good evening again, Mayor and City Council. This report is regarding the Mountain View Resurfacing Agreement between Riverside County Transportation Department and the City of Desert Hot Springs. Mountain View Road is currently in need of roadway improvements due to the age of asphalt, existing cracks, potholes, and the deterioration of the existing striping. The County of Riverside is currently proposing to improve Mountain View Road from Dillon Road to the City of Desert Hot Springs city limits. The west side of, on that exhibit, the west side of Mountain View Road, approximately between Brunner Lane and Whitney Court, is within the City of Desert Hot Springs limit and is designated in yellow on the exhibit shown, and north is to the right on the exhibit. The blue are the improvements within the county. The county has requested that the city enter into an agreement to pay for the improvements located within the city limits, which would allow for a complete full-width roadway improvement throughout the portion of the roadway that is being improved by the county. The cost for the city's portion of the improvements is $577,800. Based on the agreement, the county agrees to act as the lead agency, prepare the plans, specifications, and engineer's estimate, and construct the project. The city agrees to fund 100% of the cost for the portions within the city limits. Staff is recommending City Council to authorize the city manager to execute the service agreement between the city and the county for the completion of the Mountain View roadway improvements.
Do we have any public speakers? I see nobody in the audience right now, so there will be no public speakers. I'll open it up to questions from council. Ms. Pye? Ms. Nunez?
No.
Mr. Gardner? Mr. Vett?
Where is the hill on this road? There's a hill that's, you know, they've cut through a hill.
It's right there at the
It's very narrow.
Right there. Right there at the boundaries where the city limits start.
Yes, right there about what Brent.
And so, but the point, that's the hill?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to be improved. Is it going to cut away more of the side of the hill to widen that? It's very narrow through there. It's very dangerous. It's been a problem for a long time.
It's not widening, but it is improving some of the shoulders, yes. And it is adding some berms to both sides for washout, correct? Yeah.
We've had so many complaints from the community about that section and how dangerous it is and the pothole that's hidden at the top. I'm sure they'll be happy to hear the pavement is being done, but I'm certain the comments that are going to come in, why didn't they widen this hill, the lanes through there, so it's safer and not so narrow? Is it that much? I'm guessing it probably is. You guys seem to spend a lot of money when you're doing this stuff. But
Can we be clear on that too, that our city limits start at the top of that hill? They do not go into that mountain or down the bottom of the hill.
Excuse me?
Our city limits end at the top of that hill. They do not go down into that
Okay,
hill.
so that's even better. We got the county would agree to do the other half of the hill.
I just
So
didn't
we
want
gotta-
us to get to a part where you're going to try to commit some money to something that's not ours, so.
No, well, I'm just, I think it needs to be looked at in this project. Everybody here has
Don't
heard about
disagree
how
with you.
dangerous that hill is.
Yeah, it's just not the city limits, so you need to let people know it's
Well,
the county of Riverside.
So my suggestion to staff would be to see, the press, to see what you can do. You're driving down that road and you're looking, and you know these complaints are going to come in from the residents asking, well, why didn't you take care of that hill? It's a logical question. Would you please take a look and see if there's some way that you can incorporate into making that drive over the top of that hill safer? You could eliminate the hill, but I think that'd be a little bit too much.
Or they can grade it back.
Yeah, something. See if the county will go for it. I mean, the county's spending all kinds of money on roads everywhere. We could probably get a little more out of them.
What do you think?
Well, it's already gone out to bid, so.
I've heard, did you put any contingencies in this one? And I've heard of, what do you
County's
call those,
taking the
change
lead.
orders?
County's taking the lead on it.
Oh, okay, well, tell them to put in a change order and do this. It's not unheard of. See if you can, I don't get this, it's already gone out to bid stuff. I've seen too many change orders come in after something's already been awarded, so it's just a simple request to look
Jillian,
at that.
can you please ask the
Absolutely.
county? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Notify them how dangerous it is, and thanks.
I will do.
Any other questions? I see nobody. I'll entertain a motion.
I second it.
Please vote once it comes up.
Who doesn't want to approve paving?
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 5 on the city council meeting schedule for summer, winter 2022. Mr. Surion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Regular meetings of the city council are held on the first and third Tuesdays of each month. To allow for summer and holiday-related absences, council meetings are traditionally canceled or go dark to allow for city council and staff to schedule vacations within these planned breaks. So with that being said, staff proposes that we go dark on the second meeting of July, which is July 19th, the entire month of August, so that would be August 2nd and August 16th. And fast forward to December, second meeting in December, which is December 20th, and then January 3rd. That concludes my staff report.
And just to be perfectly clear, this doesn't preclude the council from calling a special meeting if necessary during that time period to handle emergency issues or issues that come forth. This is just our normal schedule and want to make sure that it's clear and reported. Is there any public comments? I have nobody in the audience, or will there be no public comments? Do I have any questions of council?
This doesn't include the Planning Commission or the Public Safety Commission. It's just the.
This is our schedule.
Ours
They have
only.
their own schedule that they approve.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I'm looking at them and they're shaking their head, yes.
And I think they have a need to meet, particularly the Public Safety Commission and the Planning Commission. So, okay, I'm good.
I think it's a good time to use these dark days as study sessions for, what, really means something to the city when we have difficult decisions to make and especially with this ordinance with business license, with renting out your home kind of thing. I think that's going to come to study sessions or whatnot so we can involve the community. So we can use these days as those times. Well, not majority, having majority of the staff on vacation, I think we don't have to use them very much.
We'll entertain the idea. Is there a motion?
Moved.
Push the button.
How much more do we have left in this meeting, Scott?
A lot more. We're going to take 3 more breaks.
Motion passes unanimously.
Nothing pulled from the consent calendar. Do I have any more public comments? I have nobody in the audience. Our next, the Planning Commission will meet on the 10th of May, the Public Safety Commission on the 12th, and our next City Council meeting will be May 17th. With no other business in front of the City Council, we are adjourned.